computer right here. All right, folks, welcome to part 3 of the top 10 reasons having a great bookkeeper could open you up to embezzlement. Yes, you heard that right. And we're interviewing Cheryl Obermiller from Obermiller Construction in Missouri, who again went through her own experience with embezzlement and it wasn't fun. And she had written that book over her shoulder called Fraud Points. Highly suggest you get it on Amazon. So this will be the reason number 3, and we're have a playlist of all these reasons. So if this is just the first one you're catching, there'll be 9 other ones that you can watch as well. And remember, this doesn't just apply to some big wig, with 300 employees. A lot of times, this is just your regular mom and pop shop. I'm just telling you right now.
And that's normal.
More so, actually,
That's
because people who are more inclined to say, I just got one job, which is to make the donuts. I don't want to pay any attention to the other stuff. I just want to make the donuts. Ooh, this is a bad one here. You totally trust your office staff and feel like it'd be an insult to check up on them. Man, that's take it away, Cheryl, because that's a tough one. You don't want to come across like, don't you trust us? But you have to.
What people have to understand, and some people will think it's an insult, and so it can be hard, especially if you have long-term employees, to go in and say, look, I'm going to set up a lot of fraud controls, because essentially what you are saying to these people is, you could steal from me, and I want to make sure you can't. And we're pretty uncomfortable with that. But what you have to point out to people is fraud controls are not set up because of the person who occupies the position, that they're set up because that anyone in that position could steal. And so you're protecting the company. It's just fraud controls are completely impersonal. They're not set up because of who is there. They're set up because of the risk that position holds. And most honest bookkeepers will deal with that. In fact, I tell people, if you have someone in your company and you say, we're going to start instituting these fraud controls, really, if you would get sick and we had to have somebody come in and fill in your position, or you would want to leave, we just want to make sure that the company is really safe. If somebody loses it and starts crying, you don't trust me, I can't believe you're going to look at my stuff. It's like, what would you do if your kid, you said, hey, where's your grade card? And they're like, you don't trust me, I already told you I got A.
Right. I'm looking at one of my kids right now.
Right.
I did my homework, Dad.
I know, I've been through that.
You have 8, I have 4. It's the same old story of them all. I did it. Like you said about cleaning a room last time. My room's clean.
Right. Yeah, the health department would disagree, honey. Yeah. So, but the louder somebody protests about you looking at their work, the more you should say, I better look at this. Joseph T. Wells said something, and he's the guy who wrote the handbook on fraud. And we talked about that before. Yeah, there really is a handbook on fraud. It's a thing. But he said the dichotomy of fraud is that it cannot occur without trust.
Yes.
But neither can commerce.
Right.
I mean, you have to trust people to do business. But your fraud controls cannot be based on if you think this person is just a nice person. And over again, in talking to people and reading cases, it's like the person stealing all the money was the most trusted, loved person in the business. That's why they got away with it. Nobody looked. If anybody asked a question, they gave a nice answer. Everybody believed them. So, if it was your creepy deadbeat brother in Peoria who gave you those answers, you'd look up on him. But the lady who looks like your grandma and brings cookies to the office for staff meeting, you don't think she's forging your checks. So liking people is not a fraud control. In fact, I pulled up a really interesting embezzlement case. Now, this one is older, but it illustrated this so well.
Oh, this is bad.
All right, so this is one that says, I read in the local newspaper about Joanne Rodriguez, 54, the former office manager at Aloha Termite and Pest Control, who embezzled nearly $900,000 from the company. She was sentenced to 1 year in prison. 1 year in prison. She stole $900,000. It makes me so mad. I always say I could go into a convenience store with a banana in my pocket, get $50 and do 20 years, and people steal this kind of money. And it's like,
$900,000.
She got a year. She was ordered to pay restitution. I want you to know. From what? The restitution theory?
Like, right, what I'm saying. Where's that money coming from? Her stimulus check? You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on.
You know, Josh, you're a financial guy. People who steal money do not bring it home and make wise, conservative investments with it. So getting your money back, it's like it just doesn't happen. Don't ever count on it. Now, following her indictment, Rodriguez claimed she had a gambling problem, but the deputy city prosecutor said the problem was purely greed. And she wrote checks to purchase chemicals for the business. Okay, number one, no check control. Number two, financial statement. Why didn't the guy see that his cost for chemicals went way up? But then she cashed the checks herself. You may not believe this, but you can take a check made out to somebody else, white out their name on the check, literally, write your name on it, endorse it, and then put it in the ATM, and they'll give you real money for it. It's crazy. Now, company owner Sean Murray said he considered Rodriguez a dear friend. She was the godmother to his firstborn child. She would, and he says, quote, she would always show me the numbers. What did we talk about? Source documents. She was running reports off and showing him. The reports were fantasy. She's a science fiction writer, okay? She would always show me the numbers and they looked okay. When she was paying the bills, she would assure me not to worry. We would get through these tough economic times and we would get through them together. And all the while, she was pocketing every penny.
Let's say how she got found.
It doesn't say how she got caught.
I wonder if it's similar to what happened with you, Cheryl. You know what I'm saying? That you just happened to luck in on a winter snowstorm to see the IRS document. You know what I'm saying?
Well, most of these things are caught by accident. Yeah. So, that's, I mean.
Is that your experience that most of them are literally just like what happened with you is just, we just got lucky essentially. You know what I'm saying?
Some of them are employee tips. Other employees will see what's going on, but really it's most of them are by accident. You just catch something weird, and it happens because people trust and love these people and they aren't watching. And here's how my accountant, woman I thought was my dear friend, my business was having financial problems. It was around the same time the economy sucked. And of course, she'd been stealing a ton of money. My dad died. I got a $25,000 life insurance policy he left to me. And I turned right around and put $20,000 in the bank here to make payroll. Same day, Tammy forged a check because now there was money in the account. Yeah. She stole my dead father's money that he left to me that I had to put in the company to make sure everybody, including her, made payroll. And yet I would have told you that she was a dear friend, a lovely, honest woman, but I didn't have, my financial control was that Tammy was my friend and she helped me keep everything in order. She could show me anything I wanted to see, pull receipts for things. When the FBI came, they said she had 3 separate versions of QuickBooks installed on the accounting computer and reports imported from a 4th version. She could show me anything she wanted me to see.
But didn't the restitution fairy drop the money in your lap to make you whole?
Oh, I get like $400 a month now. So like I said, you come to town, I'll take you out for barbecue. I hope you're a cheap date because reality.
But not only are you getting the restitution fairy $400 a month for like 5 lifetimes, but you also had to go through the almost have your business shut down, having to deal with the IRS, the FBI.
It was awful. It was awful.
Put a price check on that, how much that costs you in terms of time, productivity. Never mind, like you said last time, how much business did you lose because you weren't pricing accordingly? The whole thing's nuts. And
I think conservatively, the damage to my company exceeded $1 million. Her conviction was just under $500,000. They only went back 4 years. Yeah. She embezzled for 8. And then you start looking at all the cost when you can least afford it, by the way, of getting CPAs and attorneys and people, because I got news for you. You get embezzled, You think that you hand all of your crap, your huge boxes of financial mess, and the detectives are going to figure it out? No, baby, it's on you. You have to pay the CPAs. They provide the evidence to the police. I was really lucky. My local police department did do a lot of the work, but I paid tens of thousands of dollars to accountants to deal with this. So
no, forensic accounting. It's that ain't cheap, man. Forensic, because I know I have people all the time like they want to reanalyze their cost basis, and I'm like, all right, you can hire a forensic accountant, go back to 1980, they'll be happy to do that for you. It's not worth it, you know what I'm saying? But in this case, you had to do it because the FBI says,
sure.
Don't give us your boxes. We're not looking through that.
Well, not only was it necessary to prosecute the case, but because she had left my taxes such a mess, we had to go back and reconstruct years of tax records. So if the IRS had audited me, or which they could have done because they can do it anyway, but it could have triggered an audit. I couldn't defend myself. I had to reconstruct years of financial records, and it was very expensive. But so what I want people to ask yourself, I got 3 assignments for people here. Do you have any financial controls in your business? Any at all? Is there anything that you've set up that is definitely a fraud control? Do you base your fraud controls or your lack of fraud controls or how you're handling them? Do you base those on sound business practices or on your relationship with the person that you're monitoring? Okay, because the second way is bad. It won't work. And then your real homework is, I want you to sit down sometime when you got a couple of hours, list all the financial processes in your company. How do you invoice? Who constructs those? How are the payments received? Who deposits them? Who balances the checkbook? Make a list of, like, take a dollar and do a flow chart of how that dollar moves through your business and look at the different processes. Every one of those processes has a fraud point or multiple fraud points. And as you're looking at those, look for those fraud points. Look for how people, remember, think like a thief. Look for how people could use that to steal money. Remember, this guy, this woman was the godmother to his firstborn child and stole $900,000 in 3 years.
And the crazy thing is, again, going back to the IRS, if they didn't report that taxes, it's on the owner of the company to pay the IRS the taxes that should have been paid because he didn't have the financial.
I had to pay all the tax money that was stolen, and I was assessed penalties. I got a lot of the penalties abated, but only because my U.S. Senator Kip Bond opened a congressional inquiry into my case because the IRS abuses were horrible. But it's a matter of federal law. You still have to pay all of the interest.
And the taxes you didn't pay.
Go after her, but they wouldn't. But I did get this is my only act of revenge. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian, we forgive, right? But, and you don't want to do things that are vengeful and get even. I have to tell you a funny story as an aside. I have a friend who was heavily involved in a local pagan association. We've been friends since high school.
Right.
He was their treasurer. Somebody in their organization embezzled like 35 grand, right about the same time that I got money stolen. And so my friend and I were talking, and I said something to him about, I'm sleeping better. I've learned to forgive her. And he said, pagans don't forgive. We get even. And I thought, well, crap, I need not to get a foul of you. But anyway, I am, you kind of forgot where I was going with this, but, you forgive people, but you still, you can't forgive somebody from a criminal violation. That's not within your right to do. They've committed a crime against society. And while I didn't do anything like mean or anything like that, she caused me horrible problems with the IRS. The day, you're going to laugh about this, and I asked the FBI and they told me to do it. The day that she pled guilty in court, okay, she was no longer an alleged embezzler. She was an admitted embezzler. I left court, came back to the office, issued her a 1099 for almost $500,000 and turned it into the IRS.
Oh, that's funny. He was like, hey, debt forgiveness is not a tax-free endeavor anymore.
It's not. And you know what? Legally, I'm required to do that. I was required to report anybody who got money from the business. So I was actually legally required to do that. And I tried not to smile at least just a little when I did it, because it had sure caused me a lot of heartache.
I still gotta say, Cheryl, the people who are, because most people are not confrontational. Most people do have relationships. They want to. I like this person. I'm there. I'm gullible. My wife is not. I am. But at the end of the day, just think about the IRS breathing down your neck because you trusted somebody in your business. And my own background, Cheryl, financial planning, I get people all the time who get really kind of pissed off at me. They said, I just wanted an answer to my question if I should do X or Y. I said, I can't give it an answer because I don't know you. I can't just fire an email away, because what's going to happen is if I gave you the answer and it went south to you for whatever reason, and you filed a complaint with the Securities Exchange Commission, it's
You
on
can
me. And there's no way I'm doing that. And people get mad. Like, I frankly don't care. If you get mad at that, that means you don't respect me, because I have to protect myself from. And the same thing here. You got to protect yourself, because at the end of the day, it's you going to deal with the FBI and the IRS people. It's not. Was it Tammy? Was that the lady who stole from you? It's not Tammy. It's you, and you're going to have to pay the money. And there is no restitution fairy that's going to make you whole. You know,
They will not.
Personal money, go crazy, but from a business perspective, this is no joke. Just FYI. And Cheryl, her book talks about it. She went through this. We're not pulling this out of the air. This is real life, and it happens all the time.
You know, the hard thing for me when I was pulling out some embezzlement cases for you and I to talk about, there's thousands of them. I'm like, all you can do is kind of skim over a few and pick out some that are interesting. You couldn't even print all of them out. There's new ones every day. And it's just extraordinary. And I will tell you, and this is a major fraud point, really liking and having a personal relationship with the person doing your accounting is a major fraud point, because it will make it very difficult for you to monitor them. In fact, we have a slogan here now, my son and I who run this business. One of our prime slogans is, we don't hire anybody that would, that if we fired them, we would feel like we had destroyed a friendship, or we couldn't go to church anymore, or that it would mess up Christmas dinner with the family. I have to be able to manage you. I value my employees a lot. I do have personal relationships with them and I care about them. But in the end of the day, I can't have anybody work for me that I couldn't fire. And they have to know that you are looking at everything they do. In fact, when the credit card statements come, I will very frequently ask guys who are issued credit cards, bring the statement in and say, so what about like this little charge here? Do you know the truth? I don't give a crap about that little charge. The point is not, and sometimes there are questions. The point is, I am looking 100%. At the line items on your credit card. And so when you guys are out of town and you're being paid per diem for your meals out of town, and I see that you spent $60 at Taco Bell, I'm going to ask you why. And the reason is probably that we poured all through lunchtime. We had concrete on the ground. I went over, got lunch for everybody. Everybody got thrown some tacos and they ate, took a second. That's fine. But they know I'm looking.
100%. Is 100%. Is at the end of the day, it's just saying, ooh. All right, good stuff, Cheryl. So stay tuned, my friends. We're going to do these in chunks here. So right now it's Friday, March 26th in 2021, and these are all going up on YouTube. And what I'd highly encourage you to do, folks who are watching this, okay, because now my dogs, like I told you, they're getting antsy now, is go sign up for Cheryl's fraud points. And what's the website again? I'll put a link in the show notes.
It's fraudpoints.com, and you can opt into the email list. And I don't email terribly often because I hate getting my box filled with things. But if you just email, you get a copy of this list, the top 10 reasons why having a great bookkeeper may be setting you up for embezzlement. And I was just going to tell you, Josh, you keep talking about, we're going to do 10 of these. And every time you say this, I feel like the ShamWow guy who's always going, but wait, there's more. So there's more.
Well, that guy was effective. I mean, it works.
Buy my book, you get a ShamWow. No, there are no ShamWows.
I was going to say, let's make sure we clear that up so YouTube censors will say, where's my ShamWow? All right, hang tight, Cheryl. Hold on just a second.